Off the ball, getting inside the game on Newstalk 106 to 108.
I saw Brian O'Driscoll talking at one stage, saying that you got him to. I know you don't want to talk too much necessarily about individual what you're getting people to do, but he was saying that he was trying to get to his best form. And you were saying, well, go and look at videos of you playing well. Now it would seem kind of a straightforward enough thing to do, but he said that worked really well for him. Is it sometimes more simple than people give it credit for? Just things like that can actually work really, really well.
Absolutely, and again, I won't talk about Brian particularly because it's not my business to do that on air, obviously, but I must say that all the stuff that we do with athletes and teams is very simple, it's very practical, it's very basic, and I think that's why a lot of teams and athletes are looking for us, because they know that it works, they know that it's basic, they know that they're going to play it in the next session, the next match, the next race, or the next boxing match, because if it's loads of theory, they haven't got time to research it, to apply it and to learn it, whereas if there's 3 or 4 practical steps that they can adopt immediately, they're going to use it.
What sort of generally speaking, when a team comes to you, do you look at it? Do you have to kind of just make them understand the mental strength that they already have, or do you have to actually build that up? If you know what I mean.
I suppose you'd always tailor your programme according to the team's needs. Let's say we're dealing with a top-class inter-county hurling team. You'd find out what is going on, what is their track record, what's their portfolio of experience, at what stage have they, lost their critical games in the last number of years and so on. You try and watch them on video, go and watch them training, perhaps go and watch them in a league game, see what's going on, sit down with the senior players again, sit down with the coach and find out what do they feel is the main issues. They'll tell you, they'll always know, and when you're armed with that information, then you can I suppose devise a programme around those areas, and one of them could be mental toughness. If it is mental toughness, you'd integrate mental toughness training into their training sessions, into their gym sessions, into maybe some of their aerobic work sessions.
And when you talk about the kind of mental toughness techniques there, I'm kind of wondering what form that takes, because there was an interview that I read in the one of the English papers last week, and it was quoting the British cycling sports psychologist Steve Peters is his name, and there was all this talk of taming the inner chimp of negative thoughts. Is that kind of the phraseology that you'd use? Would you talk to Francie Bellew about taming his inner chimp, for example?
Absolutely not. I think Francie Bellew, the lucky thing with Francie is he's very naturally mentally tough. He's very naturally strong when it comes to a big occasion. He's very naturally, I suppose, instinctive in a big occasion as well. So people like Francie would, I suppose, treat that sort of information with disdain, definitely. Now there's other students of the game, much more, I suppose, big thinkers in the game would be much more aware of things like that, and Steve Peters has been brilliant what he's achieved with the English cycling team, absolutely. I think you'd simplify that information from Peters. I think you try and make it more applicable, more practical. How can I get these guys to understand this language, because a lot of the language they wouldn't understand from people like that. Again,
I suppose that's where your playing experience maybe ties in nicely, that you've learned a certain amount from studying as such, but because you can apply it to what's happening on the pitch, it's a case of simplifying it for people maybe, rather than just ramming down these phrases down their throats.
Absolutely. I think it goes back to the KISS rule, keep it simple, stupid. I think keep it at all stages, because the athletes don't have that much time to assimilate this. At half time in a match they haven't time to assimilate information like that, but they have time to assimilate very simple practical messages that are useful to them.
Would you talk much about this side of things with Armagh, as a current player, or is it something that you try and keep separate almost?
Absolutely, I have to keep it separate. Whenever I go on the training pitch and I'm a player, first and foremost, I don't delve in any way into the mental training of the team. That's my only role in Armagh, and until I finish playing with Armagh, that's the way I want to keep it, because otherwise I'm trying to ride 2 horses at once.
I guess they have been a team, though. Is it fair to say that maybe Armagh and Tyrone to an extent have been kind of more open than we talked earlier on about Darragh Shane? I'm sure there are Kerry footballers out there that are open to these kind of ideas, but just generally we seem to hear that Armagh and Tyrone pioneered new techniques, not just mental but physical as well. Is that something that maybe is true of Ulster football in the last number of years?
I think Ulster football in general, because of the coaching structures up there, they're very, very positive. They're very much probably ahead of the posse in terms of the rest of Ireland. A lot of the things Armagh were doing back in 02, there's still a lot of counties in Ireland not currently doing, in terms of sports psychology, or it was more like team development through a fella called Hugh Campbell. It was brilliant information, it was brilliant training with the team,
Yeah.
Why were we so ahead of the posse, or why were we so willing to adopt new ideas? Because they were so bad. Because
really?
We weren't winning, because we weren't that competitive, because we were sick getting beat.
Yeah.
So therefore, what we're going to do to improve here, we knew it wasn't only going to be physically we had to improve, but it had to be, if you like, the mental side of the game. It had to be in terms of nutrition or hydration. It had to be in terms of our speed and our power. a lot of the guys decided and took it upon themselves that I want to become better. You know, Kieran McGeaney and Paul McGrane and people like Aidan O'Rourke and Cathal O'Rourke and my brother Justin and, you know, Jimmy Mars and boys like that, they were sick getting beat, so they wanted to do whatever it took to become more successful to win on Ireland. Now, we'd always look back and regret and say, for the amount of time and effort we put into it, and we literally did give 10 years of our lives to it, we didn't win enough. We only won one on Ireland. Yes, we won 7 Ulsters, but in the wider scheme of things, Ulsters aren't that important anymore.
Yeah, might you make a run through the qualifiers though? You've obviously got the game against Monaghan this weekend.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to this game now. We know it's going to be one of the biggest battles of our lives. We know it's going to be a very physical encounter. We know it's going to be a big mental battle nearly. But we also know that Armagh is well capable of winning this game. We know we're ready for this mental battle and ready for this physical battle. We've got the players. We are very, very positive we're ready for it. The
sort of things that you've been talking to me so far about today, you know, it's kind of well and good maybe if you're having these conversations with Brian O'Driscoll or whoever the case may be, and them adapting. They're looking for every edge. They're a top level sports person. Does it work for your average sportsman or your youngsters, that kind of thing?
Absolutely. I think I was lucky enough to previously be employed as a coaching director for Ballyboden and St Enda's in Dublin here, and I was working with 13-year-old kids, working with young hurlers or camogie players or ladies footballers doing exactly these techniques, and to a large extent that's where I learned a lot of these things. You know, applying it to kids, applying it to, let's say, 21-year-old hurlers, applying it to 21-year-old ladies footballers and so on. You know, it definitely applies probably as much to those people as it does to international athletes or international, players. Yeah, you've got an academy coming up as well. Absolutely. Academy coming up in the second 2 weeks in August. Very exciting academy in that we're trying to give 13 to 19-year-old children the same information as we would to international and professional athletes. Information on confidence coaching, information on leadership development, on mental toughness. But more than anything else, trying to inspire them to achieve their potential. Because we firmly believe that now there has been a massive, impetus in our sport to go and improve and go and perform at a world stage. And why not have more athletes now coming across these techniques at an earlier age, rather than waiting to 22, 23 years of age before they learn how to become mentally tough or become a better communicator or leader, that if they encounter this at 13, 14 years of age, we strongly believe that it's going to be a massively powerful impact on their whole careers. Okay, sounds fair enough to me. Listen, Enda McNulty, thanks so much for coming in today. Thank you very much.